Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Life, as we often perceive it, is structured in terms of a journey, a beginning, a middle, and an end. We imagine ourselves moving along this path toward a goal, a destination, something to achieve or attain. But this way of thinking is deeply rooted in an illusion, one that restricts the experience of life to a future outcome. We are led to believe that life is something we can complete or arrive at, as if there is an endpoint to this unfolding experience. In truth, this notion is simply a mental construct, a way of framing life in terms of linear progression, when in fact, life is not a series of points connected by the illusion of time. It is a living process, an ongoing event, unfolding in the here and now. The very concept of a journey implies that there is a place to reach, a destination to fulfill. But when you examine life closely, you realize that it is not a race or a competition, it is an ongoing flow, a continuous moment that is always with us. The past is gone, the future is yet to come, and all that truly exists is the present, this fleeting, dynamic moment that slips by as we try to grasp it. The mind is constantly in search of something more, something ahead, but in doing so, it overlooks the richness of the present. Life is happening now, not in the future, not when we achieve something, not after we've arrived at some mythical destination. It is happening in this breath, in this sensation, in this moment of awareness. We are conditioned to look for meaning, to assume that life is something to be figured out, and that somehow, once we understand it or accomplish certain things, we will reach fulfillment. Yet this mindset causes us to live in a state of perpetual striving, always seeking the next goal or milestone. The irony is that in our constant pursuit, we miss the beauty of life as it actually is, in its spontaneous, ever-changing flow. It is as if we are racing toward an imaginary finish line, unaware that the essence of life is not in the destination, but in the experience of the unfolding itself, the joys, the sorrows, the uncertainties, all of it. Life is not about arriving somewhere, but about being in the process, fully immersed in the ever-present now. The search for a destination or an endpoint only reinforces the illusion of separation of you as a separate individual striving towards some distant place. Yet when we look closely, we see that this idea of a journey is an invention of the mind. It suggests that we are incomplete, that we are lacking something, and that we must strive to find it. But in reality, there is nothing to find. The present moment is complete in itself. Life, as it unfolds in each passing second, is already whole and rich, and it needs no future destination to validate its worth. The very idea of getting there is itself a trap, a distraction from the fullness of life as it is. When we stop treating life as a journey to a goal or destination, we begin to experience it for what it truly is, a vast, ever-unfolding process. We cease looking for fulfillment in the future, and instead we begin to recognize that all the fulfillment we seek is already contained within the present. There is no need to strive for what is already here. When we embrace this understanding, life becomes a natural flow, an expression of being that needs no justification or explanation. Life is not something to be figured out or completed. It is simply something to be experienced in its full, vibrant aliveness right here, right now. Time, as we commonly understand it, is a construct of the mind, a mental framework that divides existence into neat segments of past, present, and future. This division gives us the illusion of a linear flow, a straight line upon which we are all traveling from birth to death. But when we examine this more closely, we realize that time is not something external or tangible. It does not move like a river carrying us downstream. It is not something that exists beyond our thoughts. It is simply a mental reference, a way of organizing our experience, but it has no true substance. The idea of time flowing in one direction is, in essence, a convenient fiction that serves the mind's need for structure, order, and control. Our minds are constantly caught up in this illusion. We spend much of our lives dwelling on the past, regretting, reminiscing, or attempting to correct mistakes that no longer exist. At the same time, we are often fixated on the future, planning, yearning, and anticipating what is to come, as if our happiness or fulfillment lies somewhere beyond the present moment. In doing so, we fail to realize that the past is gone and the future is yet to arrive. What we call time is merely a mental label applied to the ongoing unfolding of the present moment, which is the only true reality. The past and future are abstractions, thoughts that arise in the mind, but are never fully experienced in the same way as the present. When we step outside this construct of time, we begin to see that there is no past or future except in our thinking. The now is all there ever truly is. It is the only moment in which life is alive, vibrant, and real. This moment right here, right now, is not just a fleeting instant that passes and is replaced by the next. It is the continuous unfolding of reality. The sense that time moves forward from one moment to the next is a mental story, a narrative that helps us feel like we are progressing, moving, or achieving something. But life itself is happening in this moment, and it is always present, not in a linear progression, but as a constant unfolding, with no real beginning or end. In truth, life does not move in the way we perceive it. We imagine that time flows like a river, pushing us forward through experiences and stages. But this is just a conceptual framework, a way of making sense of the otherwise seamless, boundless flow of existence. When we let go of this idea of time, we see that all there ever is now. We can no longer separate our lives into past regrets and future hopes, but we begin to experience the world in a more immediate, direct way. The experience of time as linear and divided becomes irrelevant. The past is simply memory, the future is anticipation, and all that remains is the present, the one true moment in which life is occurring. The illusion of time also shapes our perception of self. We see ourselves as beings progressing through time, growing, changing, aging, moving through stages of life. This self-concept is built upon the belief that time exists in a linear, sequential form. But when we break free from this illusion, we begin to recognize that the self is not a fixed entity trapped in the flow of time. We are dynamic, ever-changing, and inseparable from the present moment. We are not separate individuals moving through time. We are part of the continuous, living moment that has no fixed boundaries. Time is not a river carrying us along, but a mental structure we use to make sense of the continuous unfolding of life. When we stop seeing time as real, we stop seeing ourselves as separate from the flow of life itself. Life, when viewed through the lens of separation, appears as a linear journey with an individual self moving through a series of experiences towards some distant end. But this perspective, deeply ingrained in our thinking, is based on an illusion. The truth is that life is not a journey with distinct points, nor is it a linear process driven by an isolated I struggling to reach some goal. Rather, life is more akin to a dance, a continuous flow of movements not directed by a singular self, but by the interconnectedness of all things. The idea of the self as a separate entity journeying through time is a mental construct, a way the mind has come to organize and make sense of its experience. In reality, there is no I apart from the world. There is only the flow of existence itself, and we are part of it. When we understand that there is no separation between ourselves and the world around us, the experience of life transforms. We are not solitary individuals existing in isolation, moving through a world that is external to us. Rather, we are expressions of the same universal energy that flows through everything: trees, mountains, oceans, and people. We are not separate from nature or the cosmos. We are nature, we are the cosmos, appearing as individual forms, but inherently connected to the whole. Just as the waves of the ocean are not separate from the ocean itself, we too are not separate from the fabric of existence. Each thought, each feeling, each movement is part of the greater play that life is. This understanding dissolves the notion of a journey in the traditional sense. If we are not separate from the world, then there is no need to move from one place to another in search of meaning or fulfillment. Life is not about striving to reach a distant point. It is about participating in the ever-unfolding dance in the play of existence, where we are not separate actors playing roles but manifestations of the same fundamental reality. The dance of life is not one of progression but of participation, each moment flowing into the next in harmony with the rest of existence. We are not travelers on a journey, we are the dance itself, in constant interaction with everything around us. The realization that there is no division between the self and the world around us opens up a new way of experiencing life. There is no need to strive, no need to seek meaning in a future destination. Life is not something to be conquered or achieved, but something to be lived, experienced, and appreciated in its entirety. We do not arrive at life by reaching a goal. We are living it right now, in every moment, as part of the ongoing process of existence. The boundaries we draw between ourselves and the world fade away, revealing that we are not individuals moving through time, but expressions of the universe itself, ever-changing and eternal, part of the infinite flow of existence. This interconnectedness transforms the way we experience every aspect of life. When we stop seeing ourselves as separate from the rest of the world, we begin to see the unity in all things. The trees, the sky, the earth, and all beings are not separate from us. They are part of the same interconnected web of life. In each breath, in each movement, we participate in the flow of the universe. There is no distinction between I and other, between the self and the world. We are all expressions of the same fundamental reality, and this understanding brings with it a sense of peace and belonging. Life is not a journey to be traveled alone. It is a collective experience, a play in which we are all participants, interconnected and eternal. Life, in its essence, is a profound mystery, something that cannot be neatly explained or contained by the limited framework of human understanding. We often approach life as though it should be deciphered, as though there are clear-cut answers to the questions it presents. This desire to understand and control every aspect of existence leads us to view life as a puzzle to be solved, a journey with a defined path and a known destination. But in reality, life is not something to be figured out or conquered. It is an unfolding mystery, an unpredictable flow that cannot be tamed by the mind's need for certainty. To truly live is to embrace the mystery, to allow life to be what it is without the expectation that it must make sense or conform to our desires for control. The search for meaning, the urge to define life and impose structure upon it, often prevents us from fully experiencing it. We become preoccupied with finding answers, seeking clarity, and striving for goals. This mindset builds the illusion that life is a linear progression, with each step bringing us closer to a final understanding or a destination. But life is not a linear path, it is more like a spontaneous dance, where each moment is unique and unpredictable. The expectation that life should conform to a plan or follow a set of rules limits our ability to experience its true nature. By seeking to control every outcome, we miss the beauty of life's natural spontaneity, its ability to surprise and transform us in ways that cannot be planned. Instead of attempting to control or define life, we can approach it as an improvisational play, a performance where the script is constantly being written in the moment. Life does not have a fixed, predetermined story. It unfolds as we live it, shaped by the interplay of choices, circumstances, and chance. The joy of life lies not in reaching a particular destination, but in being present in the moment, fully immersed in the unpredictability and richness of each experience. To embrace the mystery is to surrender the need for answers, to let go of the desire for life to be something that can be controlled or understood in a conventional way. It is to appreciate the beauty of the unknown, the space in which life truly happens. In accepting that life cannot be fully understood, we also come to see that the quest for understanding often distracts us from the richness of living itself. The mind searches for patterns and explanations, but in doing so, it often overlooks the simple, profound experience of being. Life's unpredictability is not something to fear, but something to embrace. The moments of uncertainty, surprise, and confusion are where the depth of life is found. We do not need to know the why or the how. Of everything, we only need to be fully present, to experience the unfolding mystery in its entirety. This is where life's true beauty resides, beyond the reach of explanation or control, in the spontaneity and depth of each passing moment. To live in harmony with the mystery of life is to let go of the need to have everything figured out. It is to stop seeing life as something that can be solved and to start experiencing it as something to be participated in. We are not meant to be spectators, watching from a distance as life unfolds according to a fixed plan. Instead, we are meant to be active participants in the unfolding process, embracing the unknown and the unpredictable, without the need to impose our will upon it. Life is a great improvisation, and our role is not to direct the play, but to act in it, to experience it as it comes, with all its surprises, challenges, and moments of joy. By embracing the mystery, we open ourselves to the fullness of life, free from the constraints of the mind's need for control or understanding. The ego, in its constant search for meaning, is a restless force that drives us to seek purpose and direction in life. It clings to the idea that life must have a specific significance, that there must be a point to all of this, a destination we must reach, a goal we must achieve. This search for meaning often manifests in the concept of life as a journey, where we are striving towards something greater, something outside of ourselves. But in doing so, the ego creates a false narrative, one that insists on the necessity of a final, ultimate purpose. This constant pursuit only leads to confusion, as the ego's insatiable desire for meaning cannot be satisfied. No matter how far we go or how much we achieve, the sense of fulfillment remains elusive, always just beyond reach. The illusion of the ego is that it sees itself as separate from the world and seeks purpose outside of itself, as though meaning is something to be found in the future or in external accomplishments. But in truth, the ego is a mental construct, a fabrication of the mind that creates the illusion of separation between the self and the other. It is this sense of separateness that causes the constant search for meaning and the relentless pursuit of goals. The ego tells us that life is about becoming someone, about progressing toward a specific destination, but this is merely a story we tell ourselves. When we identify with the ego, we live as if we are separate from the world, constantly striving to fill the gap between the I and the rest of existence. The key to freedom and peace lies in realizing that the ego's search for meaning is not the path to fulfillment. The ego is not our true self, it is a constructed identity, an ongoing series of thoughts and concepts that we mistakenly believe define who we are. Once we let go of the ego-driven narrative of life as a journey toward meaning or a goal, we begin to experience life as it truly is, a flow of existence that is not bound by the need for purpose or a final destination. Life does not require us to prove our worth or reach some predetermined endpoint. It is simply about being without the need to define or justify it. When we release the grip of the ego's search for meaning, we open ourselves to the possibility of experiencing life in its purest form. The search for an ultimate purpose falls away, and we can simply be present with the unfolding of each moment. In this state, there is no need for external validation or recognition. Life becomes its own meaning, an expression of being that does not depend on a story of progress or achievement. We are not our achievements, not our accomplishments, and not our goals. We are the experience of being alive right now in this moment without the weight of past expectations or future desires. In the absence of the ego's need for meaning, we find freedom. The pressure to reach an endpoint, to become something or someone, disappears. We can finally rest in the simplicity of existence, realizing that life is not about the who or the where. It is simply about being, experiencing, and embracing the present moment without the need for a narrative. The ego's search for purpose is a distraction from the truth of life, which is that meaning is not something to be found or achieved, but something that exists within the fullness of experience itself. In letting go of the ego's demands, we can reconnect with the simplicity and peace of just being alive. In reflecting on the nature of life, we begin to see that much of our suffering comes from the illusions we create. We have been conditioned to view life as a journey, a linear path we must navigate with clear goals, destinations, and a sense of purpose. Yet, when we examine this perspective closely, we realize that it is an artificial construct of the mind and idea that confines us to a future that never arrives and a past that no longer exists. Life is not a destination to be reached, but a constant unfolding, an event happening in the present moment, where we find true freedom and peace when we let go of the need for certainty or a fixed goal. The illusion of time plays a central role in shaping this misguided view. We live as though we are racing against a clock, trapped in a mental framework that divides our experience into past, present, and future. But in truth, time itself is a mental construct, not an absolute reality. The only time that ever truly exists is now, the present moment. When we stop living in the future or the past and begin to recognize the timelessness of the present, we release ourselves from the tyranny of linear thinking and experience life as it truly is: immediate, spontaneous, and alive. The sense of separation, the belief that we are individual entities distinct from the world around us, only fuels the illusion of a journey. Life, however, is not a solitary endeavor. We are not separate travelers moving through time. Instead, we are interconnected with all of existence. We are expressions of the same universal flow, inseparable from the world, the cosmos, and everything in it. The idea that life is a journey implies a gap between self and other. But when we transcend this illusion, we see that life is a dance, a shared experience in which we are all participants. We are not separate from the flow of life, we are the flow itself. Embracing the mystery of life allows us to break free from the ego's incessant search for meaning. The ego is always grasping for answers, for a sense of purpose and direction. But this search only leads to more confusion. Life is not a puzzle to be solved or a goal to be achieved. It is a living, breathing mystery that we are invited to experience, not to control. In letting go of the need to define or understand everything, we can fully inhabit the present moment and find peace in the unpredictability and richness of life's unfolding. Life is not something to figure out, but something to be lived in all its complexity and spontaneity. When we stop seeing life as a journey with a destination and let go of the ego's quest for meaning, we realize that life is not about becoming or achieving. It is about being fully present, fully alive in the now. We do not need to move towards something or strive for something more. Life itself, in all its simplicity and imperfection, is the experience of being alive. And when we embrace life in its present, ever-unfolding form, we find that there is nothing more to seek, for life is already complete in itself. Thanks for watching.